Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Pizza Time Chronicles. It is time to get lost in the pizza sauce. Everybody, as you already know, we only bring on the best to the show. 2022 is a different year for the Pizza Time Chronicles. We just secured our first radio deal with Hispanish Radio. We are growing. We're already over 1,000 viewers. It is going crazy with the Pizza Time Chronicle, but only we're crazy. We're only bring on the best. Today we have two phenomenal sisters, two powerful women in their own right. We have Carmen Gonzalez, the CEO for Writing Moves Me, and then we have our powerful woman Abigail Couzens, the CEO of Posture LLC. How are we doing today, ladies?
Pretty good. Can't complain. I'm
Really
excited.
good. Really good. Thank you, Gio, for having us.
Of course, of course. And listen, there's a lot going on with just the both of you individually. And I said we need to have a powerful episode. I said I should have an episode for Abigail. I should have an episode for Carmen. But the fact is you both do everything together and it's beautiful. And it's beautiful. So I said we just need to have one show full of power, full of gems, full of amazing books. We got, I don't want to zone out here. We got one, we got another one, and we got the third one. But we're gonna be going through each of them individually because there's a lot of powerful stuff in these books, and I personally love them. I think these are actually the first books that I bought when we first met. So it's actually great that I have you both on the show. All
Awesome.
right. So I thought we can just start off by introductions. Abigail, if you would like to introduce yourself first.
Sure. So my name, as you mentioned, is Abigail Couzens. I am the CEO, owner of Posture Me LLC. I have a bachelor's degree in counseling. So my business provides mentoring, coaching, counseling, and then all things writing. I help women and men just help them through their writing process. So I help them edit, I help them, I read through their manuscript. And when they're ready, I help them to publish their books. Why do I do that? Because I am also a two-time published author. Of the books titled, my first book is My Unspoken Truth, Now Told. I'm super excited to announce that I just released the Spanish version of the book. So this book is now available on Amazon in English and in Spanish. And my second book is Women in Posture. It's for men and women. It's just titled Women in Posture, but it's a devotional book. And it helps, men and women to just kind of align them back to their rightful places as sons and daughters of Christ. And I'm in the process of still writing my third book, which will be published in just a few months.
Awesome. Amazing.
Awesome.
Amazing. Abigail, you're doing wonderful things, but I want to
Yeah.
pass it off to your sister now. Carmen, introduce yourself.
Sure. I am the CEO and founder of Writing Moves Me. Carmen Gonzalez here. I am super excited. As my sister, I am also an author. I published my first poetry book, A Butterfly's Love, What One Can't Imagine Can Happen. Yes, and I'm currently working on my second book. I am so excited because I am working on building my brand and my LLC and becoming an entrepreneur. I am super excited for where God has taken me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And when I look at the both of you women, I see nothing but power. And the reason I say that is you both continuously keep adding on to your resumes. You keep on pushing on. You keep on putting out great material. And I always love when I go on your posts, and sometimes I'm funny and sometimes I kind of just add extra comments. But I really love the fact that you have strong family ties.
Mhm.
And Carmen, I want to start off with you because I have your book in my hand. Wonderful book of poetry. I love when I see your post. I always comment my favorite poet because you are one of my favorite poets. But I believe you had in one of your section, family ties. You have family's love, And what really stood out to me is that you made it about family. Family is the one thing in life that will never be up for sale. The bond is deep, our hearts are unique, and most of all, no one will ever come between you and me. So my first question to you is how has family influenced your life and what you're doing now?
It has a great influence because from day one, we've supported each other. We have been such a tight knit group that, a lot of people don't understand, why are you guys, how is it possible that you guys are so close? Like, I've never seen siblings that, even though they're far away or they're just so close, but you know what? We support each other and we feed off of each other, and we're not selfish. We are selfless, and we want to see each other grow. Me and Abigail always say, when one moves up, the other one moves up. Why keep everyone behind? When we're trying to get here, we're going to get here together. So it has a really big influence, because when I first spoke with my family members, and specifically with Abigail, because she had already published her book and gotten her book out there, and I was telling her I'm in the process, and she gave me some really good suggestions and gave me advice, and she basically like took me under her wing and really, I shadowed her, and she guided me through the process, and then we have our other siblings who were, what do you need from me? What are you doing now? How can we help? So it's always 100% with the siblings, because as I stated before, we're never selfish, we're selfless. But I have to also say too that in the midst of my siblings, I also have a strong bond with my children, who are very supportive, and they understand when, okay, I can't do this right now because I'm really focused on trying to get my book published. And, they played a really big part on that as well.
Wow, beautiful. And Abigail, I want to pass off the same question to you. What has family done in your life, and how does it empower you still to continue doing what you do?
Yeah, like my sister stated, we come from a big family. And when I say we are close knit together, we are close knit together. And so they just mean the world to me, especially when my first book came out. It talks about surviving sexual abuse and molestation, a story that has never been told, a story that was never talked about amongst me and my siblings, or with anybody in my family for that matter. And when that story came out to them, they were surprised. We cried together, but they were with me and pushing me and saying, yeah, if you're releasing this because it's for your own release and for your own freedom and for you to find your voice, then do it. And I loved it, because my fear was embarrassing them. My fear was embarrassing my parents and my siblings. And, they were just like, no, if this is what it takes for you to find your voice, if this is what it takes for you to feel like you have your power and your strength, then do it. And since the book has been released, it's just been nothing but support, just throughout my first book, my second book, my Spanish book, and everything else that's going to come with me. I can definitely count on them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And what I love about your writing, and for Carmen as well, is that you feel like you have to buy all three because the stories are all intertwined, and you mention each other a lot in your books. I mean, but what I also like about Abigail, your writing, is there's a lot of reflection, and as well as Carmen, but there's women imposter, yes, and you can read this as a man, yes. It's tax season. Make sure you buy these books. There's no excuse. It's tax season.
Right.
But in page 34, this is what really stood out to me. And this is that reflection piece. Just like those broken ornaments, we must ask ourselves, how often do we hide our broken side? And the reason that resonated with me, because I think I shared my story with poor mental health. We very little think about ourselves. We put others in front of us, and we really don't break through. So my question to you is, how important was for when you were writing this, how important was it for your reader to know that reflection is necessary?
Yeah, good question. It was very important for me to get that message out there because the second book was birthed out of the first book. And so the first book, My Unspoken Truth Now Told, it was just a place where I was just able to tell my story. But Women in Posture, it postured me to now reflect at what I just wrote and published, to now stand firm on it, and not just, stand firm, but to grow from it and to fully move on and really posture myself in a certain way. And I love what you pointed out about the ornaments that I talk about. When you continue reading, I talk about a Christmas tree and ornaments, and how we never trash ornaments. You know, how one side of it could still be looking nice and shiny, but if the back is cracked, we don't get rid of the ornament. We just put that ornament in the back of the tree so that the tree now looks full of gems, not knowing that some of those gems are broken, but because they're hidden, you can't fully see it. And so Women in Posture talks about bringing those ornaments now to the front. Like, why do we constantly hold on to that brokenness that's a part of us, that used to be a part of us, that we still carry on? Why can we not let those pieces go so that we can live a full living life, not holding on to anything that is broken? Because if we're going to keep holding on to things that are broken in our lives, we might as well make a masterpiece of it. But if we're just going to be holding it just to be holding it, then we're wasting space in ourselves where we can carry on and live out, something greater than just these broken pieces.
Right. And you definitely, I think I say it all the time, claim your glory before it even happens. You want to be able to invest that time where you doubted yourself. You want to invest that time, turn stress into power.
Right.
And I heard that many times just this past week. But speaking of masterpieces, we're going to jump back to A Butterfly's Love, which you can find on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. I'm doing the promoting today because I want people to understand that they should have this in their collection. These are important tools. Where do you come up with that title? That's what caught me. Cause when I mostly see poetry books, they kind of name it after a tree or something that's like nature, but but it's like every poetry book, it's like it has to involve with a tree. But I noticed with poetry, people like to use nature involved in their titles. But A Butterfly's Love, where did that come from?
Sure. So a butterfly for me represents so much. It represents my transformation. It represents my newness. It represents my new life. It represents me coming out and being free. It represents freedom for me. Hence the picture where the hand is releasing the butterfly into the air, for new life. So that was me. I was in bondage for so long, and I thought about it, and butterfly, like I said, but a butterfly, I am that butterfly. I've made that transformation from A to Z, and that's why a butterfly sells.
Wow, that's just great. And we know as authors, I think one of the hardest processes is choosing that name that's gonna stand out. My next question to you, Carmen, did you have another name for this, or was this like the end all be all? This needed to be Butterfly's Love.
That was it for me. That I didn't have a backup plan. Nope. I said, this is my name. But what I did mess around with was the word butterflies, because butterflies, Butterflies was taken. So I had to now, figure out, okay, I need the word butterfly in there somewhere. I need to figure out how. So I was able to, that one specifically that I had was not taken. So I was happy about it.
And those damn copyrights. But hey, listen, you go through the process, because the last thing you want to do is put out a book and then something is copied and then you have to basically stop selling the book, because masterpieces like this come every once in a while. And this is why,
Thank you.
I mean, I still read it to this day. I think when I got it from Amazon, I couldn't put it down because I love poetry and I love the power that it brings. You know, you're evoking a lot of emotion. And with Abigail's writing too, you know, with the unspoken truth, my unspoken truth, you know, this helps a lot of people get through what they're personally feeling if they share the same story. And again, you can find this through Amazon and Barnes and Noble. But I really love this because, you know, with this piece right here, this book, you know, you're telling a powerful story. And when people read this story, hopefully they feel more empowered to maybe open up about their story. Because obviously domestic abuse is not something that's easy to open up about, especially how you express it in this book. So when you wrote this book, did you have any doubts of like, should I release this, or did you want to release it?
I absolutely wanted to release it. The only doubt that I was having, or the only fear that I was having again, is thinking that I would embarrass my family, because this isn't like something that we all grew up with, you know, or we all grew under. It was something that none of them knew anything about. And I'm one of 9 siblings. It's a lot of us. And so for me to have lived through this and lived with it without saying anything, again, I just did not want to embarrass my family. So that was the only thing I was worried about. It really was. But the story itself, I was ready. I was ready to tell my story of surviving sexual abuse and molestation, because I said before on someone else's platform that we hear about these survival stories from the Gen X generation, you know, from the older generations, you know, and I don't want to hear these success stories from 60, 70, and 80-year-olds. It's like, where are the millennials that are finding their voices, that can speak up against this, that can help the next generation? Because we are the next generation. So we need to start, you know, shouting with our voices and letting the ones behind us know, listen, you have a voice now, not when you're a millennial, not when you're 30 and 40 and 50 and 60, but you have a voice now. In order to stop, you know, sexual abuse and molestation, our babies have to have a voice now. Everything can't be shut up, go to your room, or come downstairs and eat dinner. It has to be a conversation. And these conversations are not being held nowadays. And so I just wanted to bring awareness without being fearful of what anyone is going to say concerning me releasing my story. But it's just to bring awareness to everyone's home, just to have the conversation.
And that's amazing. You know, with our generation, you know, what's more powerful is that, more specifically here, our Latinas, they're more vocal than ever. You know, they're trying to address the wrongs that happened during their childhood, and they want it to be known so that their children, their daughters, do not experience the same thing. Because it's no secret when it comes to young Latina women, when they're forced to mature early, how they're viewed, how they're treated. And what I love about our generation is they're trying to change that. They want their daughter just to be that normal girl and mature properly. So Carmen, I want to speak upon that. You know, how does it feel that, you know, what you're putting out there into the world, that's potentially going to influence the next generation of Latino women, Latino readers? You know, how does that feel?
You know, it feels amazing. It feels good to share my story. And as my sister said, for me, it was a struggle. Excuse me. It was a struggle because no one knew about my struggle. As my sister stated, you know, no one knew that I was going through in my past marriage and, you know, what I went through. No one had any idea. You know, it was a silent struggle for me. And I went through it and I maintained, you know, and I had that facade for so long until I said, I am ready. I am ready to release my pain into my paper and release the paper into now a published book. And it feels really good because through this book, I've gotten a lot of compliments and a lot of feedback, when people read the back portion of the book, because the back portion of the book talks about specifically about my struggle and how I felt throughout my struggle. And then coming out of the struggle, becoming this queen bee or becoming this butterfly and blossoming and really doing my thing. So it feels really good because I know that a lot of women, even young girls, can really benefit from the poems, because not only do I share my struggles and me coming out of the struggles, but I also share my experiences. I felt like a high school girl all over again, because I've never experienced love before, or being in love up until, about a few years ago. And then, having my children and really having a say so in their lives and really building that bond, a strong bond with my children, because I also write poetry. I have poetry pieces in my book that I've, dedicated to my sons. So I need women, I need mothers to know that it's okay to feel love, to be loved, to share love, to give these things, but also to never forget about yourself. Because while we're giving, it takes away from us. So I need the women to know that in giving, you give yourself first.
Wow. And Abigail, I want to pass it off to you. Do you have any thoughts on that?
For the latter part of what my sister was talking about, just giving yourself love. It's something that I'm going through, because even though I wrote the book and I shared on, many platforms about my story of surviving sexual abuse and molestation, I still, excuse me, I still find myself being a little hard on myself, because we all have our days. There's good days, there's bad days. I still have my days, and I have to take a moment to show myself, self-love. And sometimes I just have to take myself just out of the house, go for that walk, by myself, that ice cream or whatever it is that I may need for the moment, just to let myself know, girl, you did it. You did it. You're doing it. And there's more that's going to come out of this. So just hold on. Keep going, you'll be all right. So there's times where I have to continue giving myself words of affirmation, because, we hear it from family members, and I can hear it from my siblings, and I hear it from my friends. But if you don't believe that thing for yourself, if you can't give yourself that love that other people is pouring into you, then what they pour into you won't really matter. You have to know that thing for yourself. So that is something that I'm still working on with me. And it's a day-to-day process. It's an everyday process, just continuing to self-love myself.
Hey, and I agree. I work on it now as a young graduate student, with living such a busy life, we tend to forget who's actually carrying us. It's not the people, it's not their opinions, it's us. We have to carry ourselves, and we have to defend ourselves, and we have to prove not only to ourselves that we're capable of doing what we love to do, but we're trying to show people our passion. Carmen, you're coming out with your second book. Abigail, do you have another book in the process before?
I do, but I'm not releasing the title of it yet.
Okay. But I think our viewers, considering you two do everything together, I think my viewers want to know, is there a future collaboration? There's knowing that, your books intertwine when it comes to family, when it comes to sharing your passion and your story. I only envision when is a book going to come out when it's by Abigail Couzens and Carmen Gonzalez. Because I tell you, and I'm saying this, and this is not a prediction, everybody. This is a spoiler. If these two make a book together, I guarantee you it's going to be not only a bestseller, but I think it's going to be an international bestseller.
Amen.
How powerful.
That, amen.
Just putting both of their power into one book. Is that something both of you ever thought about, or is that something that I just blurted it out and it needs to happen? Carmen, I want your thoughts on that.
Sure. So I've thought about that. I've never presented it to my sister because I know she's working on her third book. And I'm working on my second book, and she's actually working on her third and fourth book.
Now
So,
we
but
know.
I thought about that because, like I said, I really, as you said, Gio, I really believe that our thoughts and our experiences and when we bring them together, it would be so powerful. So I agree with you, yes, but I've thought about that, yeah.
Abigail.
Yeah, my it's something that I would definitely be open to doing. We've never had the conversation about it, and so I would have to like really think and pray on it. Like, how would that flow? Like, you know, what would be the topic? What would we talk about? Because I feel like in my first book, My Unspoken Truth Now Told, I kind of told it all. And then in my sister's poetry book, I feel like she kind of tells it all, you know, from her boys, you know, her family, her poetry to her sisters, and all of that. So it's just like, if we are going to do that, what would be the, you know what I mean? Like, what would be the juice?
Well, everybody on this show, I like to spark things up. This is that. Everybody, I just know just take my money at this point because I know I'm going to be one of the first buyers because of how quick and how interested and how invested I was in everyone's book. You know, remember Amazon, Barnes and
Amazon.
Noble, please search them up. We got Butterflies Love. What one can't imagine can happen. We got My Unspoken Truth, and we got Women in Posture. You got to have these, and then just wait for the collaboration book. I might get the inside detail. I might get the inside scoop on those, but I know I'm just saying whatever you two produce is power. It's empowering. It's only going to influence the next generation of our leaders, future leaders, even our current leaders, you know. Um, just wow, I'm almost getting teary eyed just because I really love those books, you know, and you two inspired me as a young Latino author that's soon about to release his book. Um, you know, when I read that, I said, this is possible. And this, wow. But everybody, I like to ask all my guests this one question as we close out the show today, which was very powerful. So if you missed anything, if you literally just watched this whole video and not got anything, first of all, your volume's not working. You should be listening. You should probably go to the hospital for that. But everybody, I asked one more question, and I think with the whole theme of this show, I like to ask Carmen, you first, and then Abigail. What is your favorite slice of pizza, and where is that pizza from?
So I don't like anything on my pizza, so I like cheese pizza. And I have to say that Lorenzo's, and I just recently had their pizza. So Lorenzo's pizza is the biggest, the juiciest, the most delicious slice of pizza I've ever had.
There you go, Abigail.
Okay, so I have two answers to that one. So my favorite pizza is pepperoni, which is why I love your sweatshirt. Okay, I love that hoodie. So pepperoni pizza is my favorite pizza. If I am getting it from here, Ohio, I get it from Donato's. But if I get it from Philly, it is definitely Lorenzo's.
Yeah.
They do have the biggest, thinnest sliced pizzas, and the East Coast thing. You know, we like that thin crust pizza. So Lorenzo's if I'm in the East Coast, but Donato's if I'm here in Ohio.
There you have it, everybody. Everybody, remember, you can't get too lost in the pizza sauce because, see, that's too much sodium. You don't want that. But everybody, thank you so much for joining us on the Pizza Time Chronicles. We got more great guests coming on to this show. We are only evolving. It is only, what is it? This is the longest January ever. It is still January when we're recording this. Everybody, it's time to get lost in the sauce. That's all it is. When I'm not eating Oreos, I'm getting lost in the sauce. But see, I can't do too much because that's too much sodium. Everybody, Carmen, Abigail, send everybody out.
Thank you so much, Gio, for having us. And congratulations to you. If I can say this real quick, because we are looking forward to supporting you in your book that is going to be releasing really, really soon. So congratulations to you. And thank you again. Yes, there it is. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Gio, thank you so much for allowing us the space to be on your platform. And I also, as my sister said, I look forward to February 26th when your book will be launched and it will be a bestseller. So thank you for this space and this time. I appreciate you.
I hope it's the bestseller. I'm betting on a lot of Oreos and pizza in this book. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time.